Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very important day. I'm going to move quickly, so try to keep up. We're pulling up here. We're coming up to grandma's house, and today is absolutely wild, right? So we got the futures up. They're up about 0.4% on the S&P, and today, you see it. Today it goes down, family. It goes down. Good morning. How you feeling? Good morning, B-More. Good morning, Corey. Good morning, Crystal. Good morning, Ja. Good morning, Marlon. Good morning, Rob. Good morning, Mark. Saying, how you feeling, Sonia? Good morning, Will. Good morning. Good morning, family. This is the tightening spell. We're going to get Jerome Powell today, and it's going to be absolutely wild. Whether you're getting ready for work, whether you're on the road, driving on the train, at work, at the house, today is the tightening spell. It's going to be some consequences. We already have some consequences of moving slow, starting out the gate. But family, it goes down today. Yes, today, okay? We're here. We're coming up to grandma's house. As you can see, it says 6 hours until we get the Fed interest rate decision. So I hope you all had a wonderful night's rest because you're going to need the energy today. I got another morning call for you. I hope you liked last morning call, but we could do more of that. And this is where, like, I cannot tell you how hyped I am going into Jerome Powell. We're going to get it at 2 p.m. And then 30 minutes later, we're going to actually get Jerome Powell live, right? So that's going to be the press conference, and that's going to be the main event of today. It's going to be the main news driver, right? So literally all the macro and everything we've been talking about for, weeks is now all boils down today, right? And this is where, like, we're back in that bear market territory. I put the pretty picture in the chat yesterday of the downtrend in place. And this is where, so you can understand what's going on and really see where we at, right? So we had we had some data, right? And we're seeing it in the movement in the global currencies, right? And this is where, again, we're going to hear from several central banks, right? You see Sweden, they had a surprising interest rate of 100 basis points, right? So this is where I want you to be able to understand the market's natural tendencies, your natural tendencies, right? And understand, like, a strong vision inspires passion, right? This passion is what transforms and controls your life, right? So understanding what happened in the last Fed meeting, right? And understanding the reaction to how the market receives the data, is going to be looking at what we do, into Powell, right? So we have Euro close at 11:30. So that's 2 hours after open. And then 2 hours after that, we meet Jerome Powell again, right? So somewhere in between that, we're going to prepare for Murphy. You're going to know who's Murphy, but this is, things we want to see if either the trend that we get into Euro close continues into Powell, or it starts to flip, right? Because that's going to be the market kind of setting up, right? So if we do continue this bullish action, that's going to give us more cushion going into Powell. So, and just really tying it into understanding the historical Fed events, this is where Powell in May, we went up, and then we came right back down. We sold off, right? And that was pretty much post Powell, right? That was the digestion. 2 hours after Powell into close, we came down. And then June 15, that's when we got Powell. You know, we dropped at first and then we recovered. And then we had that 1% drop right after, right? So really understanding we're going to get the initial movement and we're going to get the movement after. But then we also have Thursday, Friday, right? Because in June, the next day was like, wow, right? So this is like the key thing you want to be able to understand is that we're going to have the release, then we're going to get Powell, and then we're going to get a whole lot of people trying to digest it and, you know, get information and pick apart. We're even going to go through what to look out for, but understand the market moves in phases, right? And we're going to see it today. You just want to keep a high level of objectivity today. Like this is where the vision starts to kick in, right? And keep you disciplined. And what you want to look out for is basically how we set up into the meeting. Everyone following along so far? Because I know I'm moving quickly, but put a 1 in the chat if you're following along. Very good. So it's going to be all about the reaction, if it's positive or negative into European close, that's at 11:30. And then that's going to highlight immediately the setup for Powell. And then once we get Powell, we're going to have the first 30 minutes of the initial release. And then we're going to hear from Powell, and that's going to have its own move too. Wow. So today's going to be jam-packed. And I'm telling you, we're here. We're at grandma's house. Usually grandma's house wow like that. So this is what to look out for. Again, like just to give you a little bit of more background, you know, of basically, you know, Powell and how he's going to, you know, how he's going to basically put it in language for everyone. But then the other side is how the market actually interprets it, right? So you have, you know, a lot of people bringing up the yield. We're going to go over that today. But even understanding like the last, you know, the last FOMC that we had a big response going into it. And then after, right? So it's going to be warranted today. And this is where like you want to be able to stick to that vision. Like keep in mind that vision, because that's your purpose, that's your passion, and that's the passion for the purpose, right? We're just not out here trading, trying to cash anything, right? And again, you're not gonna hit everything. You're not gonna win all the time, right? But we prepare for that. So this is where after the release and where we go by the end of close today is going to tell a lot about how we end the week, right? That we want to be kind of more forward looking, right? And not so focused on the morning call just today, right? And this is where the next day coming into Thursday, where we end up by the end of the week, you know, the last 2 days of the trading week is also what you want to keep in the back of your mind and have a little more vision into that, a little more eye into that, right? So what to look out for today, right? Because obviously we got the Fed futures here. I'm so happy to see like this whole thing play out from the beginning of the year into now, September, right? We've been like watching this since January. And like now we got today's rate hike decision and 2 more, right? So it kind of simplifies things for everyone. And this is where now today, 75 basis points is fully priced in. And moving forward, we want to know about the size of the rate hike, right? Because I just scrolled down to November. Let me take off this ad because it's probably distracting a lot of people, right? So boom, right? So November, right? And now this is November 2nd's meeting, right? So what interest rate hike has the bigger rate hike odds right now? Put it in the chat. Looking at November's chart and probability. $75 basis points. Very good. Right? So if we see this get lowered and they add another probability to the chart, that's going to tell us more, right? So we're going to see the amount of rate hike that's going to be key. We're going to find out at 2 p.m., but 75 basis points is already priced in for today, right? But we also want to see if the Fed futures going into November starts to change, and then December. Everyone following along so far? That's the size of rate hike. Write that down quickly. Size of rate hike. Everyone got that? Put a 1 in the chat. Very good. Next thing is dot plot, right? Because the dot plot is going to be the one of the bigger issues, because that's the projected path for the Fed, right? So the dot plot, and then also the SEP, right? So you're going to have the SEP, which is the summary of economic projections. And basically, Powell gave us a preview about that, right? Because he estimates, national rate, and he said in his own view that he views higher, right? So when the chairman is saying his own view is higher, it kind of gives you the vibe of the committee. And basically, this is where I would expect that the summary of economic projections, the SEP, when you hear that, that's what they're speaking of. But I would expect to see higher neutral rate, right? So the last time we got this was about 3 months ago. And this is where it's like we're having analysts speak about this. A lot of economists are also speaking about this. So we want to see what this creates, right? And what is their natural rate, because this is where it could create some slack for inflation, and like the base is rising, right? And the relative base is probably higher as well. So understanding this is where, if it shows on the on the Fed projections last time from June 15th, they basically gave the read on the GDP, what they saw for the PCE, right? What they saw for core inflation, and what they think the Fed rates are going to be, right? So this is very important once we get that release. And this is like it's going to reset expectations again. It's going to come with another reaction. So just keep in mind those phases that we spoke about, right? Because we heard Powell and Jackson Hole. He expect higher. He said there's going to be pain. He said households are going to feel pain, right? I'm just reminding you of his words. And this is why this might give us, you know, a real number and kind of connect that pain to and quantify it, right? To describe, you know, the pain that he's speaking of. So as you can see, 75 basis points is already priced in, right? I know some of you are thinking, well, stock baby, what if he do 100 basis points? You know, this is where people are saying like 75 basis points, you know, is it big enough? But 100 shouldn't happen, right? And this is like the market is not pricing in 100, right? The one on top will be higher and the one on the bottom will be lower, right? But as you can see, 75 basis points is priced in, right? The market's gonna respect that's the market drawing the line in the sand, right? So Fed futures is saying, you know, it's pricing in 75 basis point. And if, you know, if everyone's was like, well, if he do 100 basis points, you know, that's Powell stepping over that line in the sand and saying, you know, oh, I'm gonna break the trend, the 60-year trend of Fed following, you know, what the market is saying. So understand we can really, really move, right? And you want to keep a high level of objectivity today, right? Because all these things are going to impact where we go, right? Again, the summary of economic projections, you know, if they're really bad and they say like bad forecast, and let's say it's bad on the GDP, even employment, and like even where the Fed thinks like the, you know, the Fed funds futures prices is going to be, that alone can drive the market amongst all averages, all indices. And that could fuel movement, because when we speak Fed futures, we're talking bond market too, in a way, right? That could produce bond movement, and then we could really start seeing things like move around, right? And this is what is really important, because going into Powell today, how we set up for Europe close, everything is going to be unique. Everything is going to have its own defined moment, and we want to be able to capture that, right? Because this is part of everything, the vision, you know, having these probabilities, knowing when it's going to come, understanding how to read them, what will be positive, what will be negative, right? So you know, looking at it, I think it's going to be negative, you know, but we also have an entire trading day. So Powell speaks at 2, right? And we're already up still 0.4%, right? So like this is where like you have to understand what's going on, right? That's one part. But the second part, as a trader, understanding yourself. Like, and this is where like I even had to separate myself from certain people in certain situations, right? Because like I can only be myself until it kills me. And this is where it's like I can't succeed without that spirit and knowing that, right? So like when you take that trade and understand what you're risking, that's very key. Like you can't front that. You can't front the loss, right? And that's where you got a lot of people fronting the gains, but you can't front the L, right? So understand like there's certain, you know, sometimes you gotta set your face and understand, like, to really get to where you going, you got to endure losing. Sometimes even it may not come in the form of money. Sometimes it's losing friends, right? So understand your sight as a person, as a trader, investor, business owner, leader. Your sight is the ability to see things as they are. Trade what you see. How you see is different, though. The vision is the capacity to see things as they could be, what will be. You see, so my predictions for today, I'm thinking that we can move up. I'm leaning more towards like a mini rally into the report, right? Because we kind of got that cushion already. That's right. So this is where we at on the futures, 38.88, right? But it's honestly going to come down to the cash open in the next hour. But we can draw two scenarios, right? We could draw up a bull case. We could draw up a bear case as well. But understand it's still going to be difficult to put your finger on today because it's going to go in phases, right? Keep in mind, you have 2 hours after the bell, right? 2 hours after the bell, that's usually our highest trading volume, right? And then also we have Europe close to 11:30, and then going straight into that, we got the Powell, right? And this is where you just want to be able to see that and be able to trade in the zone, have that vision and discipline your life, because that's what's going to be key to what's going on today and how we move forward, right? Because this is how you make it for you, right? And this is where 2 hours into it, we're going to go from open European close to the report and then to close again, right? So just speeding through it to slow it back down. This is where like early signs of anything positive or anything negative is going to give us our first indication. Everyone following along, put a 1 in the chat. Put in a 1 in the chat. Good morning. Wake it up. Let me know. I know it's early in the morning, but I need to know who's hearing this and who's understanding this. Good morning. Good morning. All right, very good. So that should give us an idea, okay, where the first half, right? We're gonna do this in halves. The first half, those first 2 hours, okay, we're gonna kind of get the sentiment there. And then whether it continues to rip higher or sells off going into Powell, that's gonna now give us the sentiment of what the market really thinks, right? So this is where that's gonna kind of get us either a little higher from here, or we're gonna now give it back to reset and go into Powell, right? Powell's gonna now break out of a range, right? So either we're gonna retest the high of a range or we're gonna go to the low of the range. Simple way to put it. But now bearish case, right? So let's say report comes out, boom. Report comes out, we do the stupid bounce, the silly bounce. I call it the stupid bounce, but let's say we do one of the silly bounce, right? And then we kind of continue this rally that we got here, right? And then we sell off a lot harder coming into close and then coming into Thursday, right? And then by the end of the week, overall, we give back, all of the bullish reaction. Like that's going to be, basically the signs of of Powell digestion being negative. So if it's negative, I think it's going to lead into the next day, basically. Right. And this is why I was saying we hedge for today and then also look into Friday as well. All right. So you can play that continuation, take profits, and still be in the game. That's if it's bearish, right? If it's bullish, we're gonna have the immediate pop as soon as we get the report, right? But then now going into it, depending on what is the rate hikes, what are the questions that they ask, during the press conference, is it anything that's concerning the balance sheet, anything with the summary of economic projections, if there's anything new or concerning where it creates a scenario that the market really didn't predict. This is what's going to make movement. This is what's going to create, behaviors, right? This was going to create a reaction. And thinking about how the market can move to what data that will be, that's really going to be up to the, the interpretation, but we seen it. We seen all the other Fed meetings, right? You seen Jackson Hole as well. So this is where I just hope you're excited. I hope you're able to just take this day in as a learning process in the journey, right? But understand that it's gonna be unique, right? If Powell basically didn't do 75 basis points, right? If he did lower, again, the Fed futures are already pricing in a probability, right? So if he did lower, that would be complacency. That'd be Fed complacency. It's obviously a problem. He's ignoring it, right? The Fed is dysfunctional, right? And that would really lower my Fed credibility. But now, let's say if he did 100 basis points, you would see pure panic. You will see pure panic. We'll be laughing. We'll grab puts, and then you just be ready to sell things and protect yourself, right? So that'll be basically Powell stepping over that line in the sand that we spoke about earlier. And again, Powell said, things are too high. People are gonna see pain. That would be the pain at pure panic, pure, like literally, that'll be Powell throwing the finger at the market. So just understand that, right? And this is where coming into today, we spoke about this. I mean, I can't bring this up anymore, but look at where we at on the 10-year. Right? So this alone can move things, right? Because we're at 3.5, right? It made a high of 3.6, and you got the market going up. So you're seeing divergence. Again, going into Powell, divergence turn into convergence. So we want to see, does the market catch up to the bonds again? It's a game of equity and bond. As long as you know how to play it, you can catch it. Futures up 0.5% right now. We need 3,900, 3,920, 3,932, 3,950. That'll be the your mini rally level, and then 3,962, 3,977, 4,000. Downside, you have 3,872, 3,850 is going to give it all back. 35, you have 38.20. Underneath 3,800, you have 37.91. Nasdaq, again, very volatile. Today is going to be extremely volatile. So granted, we may have 2% day, probably more. We seeing what happened after the CPI, right? So upside, you have through 12,000, 1248. You have 12,100. Above that, 12,172 to 12,200. Downside, 11,900. You have 855, 834, 800, 760. SPX. So SPX, we closed 38.55. We're 38.94, 93 right now, right? So 38.94. Again, upside, we need above 3,900, 39.10, 39.40, 39.50. Above that should bring us to 39.72, and you can see 4,000 on the SPX today. Today. It's possible. That's if we get a bullish reaction. Don't think it's probable. On the downside, you have underneath 38.72, 38.50, 38.32, 38.20, 38.10, and then underneath 3,800, you have 37.92. SPY. So SPY 386. We need 389, 390, 393 to the upside. Downside 385, 383, 381. The bonds. So again, we hit a low coming into today's session, and the bond market, the bond pre-market, we kind of found a bounce there, right? But we opened lower. So we're down. What? Let's see. All right, we're down a whole point, 2 points, but only up 1 point. So this is where it's gonna tell us a lot, right? We want to watch the bond movement going into Powell, right? So we're seeing it recover after hitting a low. So that could be a safety move. Let's see if it continues, but if it sells off, it tells you a different story, which is inflation. So understand that. That can cause a reaction in everything we see in the market. Watch Apple as well. Apple, you're seeing a safe haven effect, right? This is day 1, this is day 2, and today is going to be day 3. So we want to see, does Apple break this third level, right? You can see 1, day 2, day 3, right? So again, above 158, you have 159, and that takes you to 161. Downside, 157, 155, 150. Microsoft. Microsoft is at 243. It's been basing, right? Have been consolidating the last couple of days. Let's see if it can get above last week's highs. You have 245, 247. It's close. Underneath 238, 236. Amazon's at 122. Again, just ranging at the lows there. Above 124, we need 126. Below 122, you have 121, 119. Set a new low. Tesla. Tesla's on a high. Again, money out of Amazon into Tesla. You can see it. We need 309, 313, 315 up. Downside, 306, 303, 298. Shop. So shop's on the low as well, right? E-commerce getting a bit hit. You have 33, 36 to the upside, downside, 29, 28. Google. We're here at 101. I mean, these prices are either going to go straight up or straight down. Underneath, you have 99. Upside, you have 103, 105. Meta's at 146. Upside, we have 150, 152. Underneath, you have 143, 140, 137. QQQ. So QQQ again, the Nasdaq is the most volatile, right? Why is the Nasdaq the most volatile? That's a good question I ask myself. Can anyone help me find that answer? QQQ, it tracks the Nasdaq, but why is it so volatile? What is it about the average that make it so volatile? And then ask yourself, how many companies are in the Nasdaq? Let's go, Cornell. Because it's tech heavy, meaning it's based off of vision. It's based off your vision and your ability to get that vision funded. And that cost to borrow of the money, right, that's needed to grow that vision. That's the lifeline of your business. Tech is always the first to sell off, right? Right? Because again, that's the fast lane. That fast lane, when that traffic stop, whoo, that fast lane is the slow mover. Usually, right? That's where you see things start to take effect, right? And even with the Fed now, the Fed is looking at a magnitude of things. It's more so both, right? Because when we speak about the bond market, we're speaking about treasuries, right? Yields, credit. But then when we speak about stocks, we're talking about, the actual businesses, the companies, equities, but these businesses that make the stock available, they need that money at the end of the day. So it's all connected, right? They also need to, if it's international, right? If you have currencies overseas, you may need to hedge against that currency going down, and you may have to grab a dollar. Everything matters. The vision matters the most, because if you get that vision, it's going to be tested for its authenticity. QQQ upside, we want to see 290, 293, 295. Downside, we got 285, 283, 280. Chips. So I've been watching the chips here. Not really doing much. Want to see if we get movement today. Above 133, you have 135, 138. Underneath 130, 125, 123. Like Nvidia is down huge. This is the 1 year chart. Nvidia is down huge. When I say huge, this is what I mean. LRCX. Yeah, LRCX. We had 403. We could be lower on the daily. Okay, we have 404, right? So upside, we want to see 416, 422, 432. Downside, underneath 400, 397, 391, 385. A&D. Upside, we got 78, 82, 85. Downside, 74, 72, 70. Watch energy and commodities, right? Because we have energy heading back up. Oil, natural gas, right? Palm oil, everything is like back on the rise again. And this is that little commodity craze. So let's see if we get a rotation as well, right? That's another thing to look out for, right? And that's going to keep us in line. That's going to keep everything in check. XLE, let's see if we get upside 78, 80, back up to 83, downside 76, 74, 72. Snow. So snow's been holding, but this can be another key tell on the market sentiment, right? Because this is cloud, right? This is long duration, right? So this is where we want to be able to see if we can get up 188, 190, 192, but then downside, you have 180 underneath that, 176. First Solar. Again, First Solar has been doing its own thing. It's holding, right? So it's been in this consolidation period. We can either expand up or expand down. 136, 138 up, 132, 130, 128 down. It's right there. The banks. Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs is at 325. We want to watch the banks today because they definitely are going to move, right? And again, they got a lot of meat on the bone, right? This is the yearly chart on the banks. And as you can see, they got some cushion in the game, right? So banks can go much higher or we can go lower. You have 328, 332, 335. Downside, you have 322, 320, 316. So again, it's going to be, either positive or negative. Again, everybody is going to feel the pain, is what Powell said. So if anyone is going to feel it the most, it's going to be banks, right? So the Fed futures are pricing in 75 basis points. They still can move, even though they're pricing 75 basis points for November as well. So you want to get good practice of looking at the Fed rate monitor tool, right? And it's an investing.com. We use this. We've been hammering this tool, right? But that's going to be key, okay? And really understanding what's happening here and the vision needed is really gonna tell, whether or not it's going to be a win or loss that happens from what we get from Powell. So understand it's going to be exciting. We're going to see everything through. We're going to get the interpretation, and kind of get a chilling feeling going into it, right? So from what we saw yesterday and then how we open it today is basically, is a continuation. So we're going to see it. We're going to see what happens. We're going to have the information. We're going to source it in the chat, right? But it looks like we want to test 3,900, right? But we got bigger things to go after. And this is where, like, I want you all to take a bird just one time. Just try this. Like, take a bird, okay? But nah, don't try this. Just listen. Like, I tried it once as a kid in Ponce in Puerto Rico. Like, my cousins were sitting over there and, like, he got birds, right? He's in a group with, like, birds. They just love birds, right? But he got a lot of them. And what birds do? They're born to fly. Right. So he had them all cooped up in a cage. So, one day I put my hand in the cage and I took one of the birds out. Beautiful little bird. There was a big, I remember this as a kid, there's a big cast iron tub in the backyard full of water. And, my cousins, all of them, they collect the water. And I wondered, what birds would do if you put them underwater? Right? Like, don't look at me weird. Don't look at this screen weird. Like, you didn't you didn't at least thought about it? I put the bird in the water. Yo, the bird started shaking and then the bird relaxed. I said, oh, that's what birds do. They relax underwater. I was a kid. When I took the bird out, I said, look, he was relaxed. He was relaxed. He was sleeping. So I said, cousin, look, let's wake him up. I'm still trying to wake him up after 30 years. Why did that bird die? Why did that bird die? I put that bird in something that it was not created to be in. That's why. And when you don't find your place in mastery, whatever you are doing, it will kill you. Purpose preserves your life. What keeps you alive is staying in your mastery. Whatever you master, that's going to make you valuable. Don't seek to fly. Don't seek success. Seek to be valuable. Don't seek to be successful. Seek to make yourself valuable. Go after the value. The only way to become valuable is to focus and master on something. Become known for something. Whatever you're gifted in is that something. That's the key to your process. That's the key to your progress. That's the key to your prosperity. You know what gives you that? Your vision. Your vision makes you master it. It gives you the ability to see beyond right now, what's going on right now. Look what's happening. Great morning session. It exists, but it cannot be seen once you see it. You see, this is where God has given you birth to go, but then you start doing everything that's necessary to prepare to get you there. And I say prepare to get you there because, like, you don't wake up in the morning and reach your vision. You got to prepare to go there. You see, the vision is the primary motivator of every single human action that's taken. And understand what that statement means and what this story means and what that means for your day. And understand that you need to make every single day in some way related to why you were born. Every act, vision should be the purpose of every activity. And in this community, Freedom Family, everything in this group, I have to keep checking it to make sure that it's leading us and helping us as a people to discover our purpose. It's bigger than trading for me. Discovering our potential, discovering who's the leaders, everything that we must do always needed to be guided by this one assignment. We're not your average trading groups. There's other groups, but then there's freedom traders. And if you want an average Discord or an average group, you got to go to another one. I don't feel bad if you leave. If you say that's not for me, God bless you. You got a lot of places. But if you want to become world-changing, business, leadership, trading, this is the home for you. And if you want a life that makes a difference, not only in money, but in the house, in the world as well, this is the place for you. If you want to live a life that makes a difference, not just make a profit, this is the place for you. Whatever we do here must always, and when I say always, be guided by the action that's motivated by that vision. There's no competing with that. I repeat, the vision does not compete. You have a vision, there's no competition with you. No one can compete with a vision because each vision have unique assignments. Let me make it simple for you. Whatever you're called to do, your vision, even as a trader, you have to lose it first. Every great trader loses his count. Understand that. Understand my words today, because we're here and you've seen a lot. But I want to tell you something. Before 10K could go 10X, it has to go down before it goes to 100K. Meaning if you were born to be a millionaire, you must go through bankruptcy first. A vision. It's been a real pleasure with you this morning, folks. This is what I know. We're going to have a great day today. And I want everyone to meditate on this and keep this in mind. A man and a woman with a vision cannot be stopped. Everyone had a great day, and please be safe, trade safely. We're going to have live coverage of Powell. But understand, baby, that vision is going to have you seeing in the future, baby. So have a great day. Stay ready. You don't have to get ready, and understand, man, this is the place for you. Every act of the vision should be the purpose of your activity. That's why the bird died. I love y'all. Amor Fati, and God bless you all. Peace out.